Greetings, Laker Nation. This is Bill Kurtz, Activities and Athletic Director at Camdenton High School. And this is a fall parent meeting video for those that aren't able to make parent meetings this year. Welcome to 2021 fall sports and activities. And hopefully in the next few minutes, I'll be able to communicate how you can get your questions answered if you have students that are participating with us this fall. We don't have the COVID concerns that we did last year. The protocols in place just for the pandemic are no longer in place this year. Other school districts may have some restrictions or regulations in place. The Activities Association for the state of Missouri may implement the same type of restrictions, but when that happens, we'll communicate that to you. For now, we're operating as usual. It will give us a start to the season that looks pretty normal. We absolutely will participate in some events at venues and school districts that do have restrictions. So will be schools that want us to wear masks or only send 2 viewers per athlete, or not send our cheerleaders, or any number of things that they may require. And we will absolutely comply with that. We will do it happily, because we want to participate. We want to play our games. We want to continue to be invited to tournaments, whatever it may be. We're going to happily follow whatever rules the home team has in place for us. If you don't feel that way as a parent, then don't come. We're not going to make special rules because someone wants to make a political statement or in some way show their kids a lesson. If you want to teach your kids a lesson, do it somewhere else. We're going to have a great full season of competition, and it's going to be great. We're going to love it. It's going to be enjoyable. So to start off, let me go over a few things that I think parents are most concerned about. You should know that your child needs a physical. If your child does not have a physical, they have not been allowed to practice. They have not been allowed to participate in active practice. All kids must have 14 practices before they can compete, before they can participate in a competition. Some other strange rules at the beginning of fall. Those of you that are watching this before practice starts, you'll find that the first 3 days, and then spread that out to the first 5, and then 10 days of practice in the fall for fall sports only, have special rules. They have rules that are supposed to help kids get used to the weather, get used to the heat. And so this is a rule that comes down from the state, from the health side of it, and we follow them. That's a rule that every school in the state is supposed to follow. And as far as I know, everybody does. So those are good. And if you're watching this after practices start, you'll understand why we don't have 2-a-days every single day till school starts like we did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Following some rules there. Now, what might not be as clear for parents is your physical is good for 2 years. That's only been in place now for a couple of years. The date on your physical, the date your doctor signed the physical, 2 years from that date is when your physical expires. So if for some reason your athlete got a physical in the middle of a season, that thing will expire in the middle of a season. And so just because they started the season does not mean they'll be able to participate for the whole season. Once that physical expires, it's no good, and we will not let you play. Your coach should not let you practice or play until you get an updated physical. So please make sure that that's accurate. Maybe a bigger confusion we didn't realize till last year was, even if you have a physical, if you are in year 2 of your physical especially, we still have paperwork we need filled out. Parents and athletes need to sign the permission forms, need to provide insurance providers, need to agree that they're going to follow the rules. All of that stuff needs to be done. So those are the annual requirements that, aside from the physical, that we need to collect each year. Athletes, people who park on campus, those involved in activities, anyone that wants to have a privilege at school, any of these things that's not provided to you because you're in public school, but that are extras, like athletics, like band, like all the activities, those are privileges. And in Camdenton, you must be signed up as part of the random drug testing pool in order to participate. So if you are new to the district, or if your student has never participated in activity before, never parked on campus, they will need to have on file a form agreeing to be a part of the random drug testing pool. So if you're involved in something and we don't have that, we will be getting a hold of you saying, hey, we've got a problem. They're not going to be eligible. We need this filled out. If you do not want your student to possibly be drawn for a drug test at school, then they cannot participate. It's not something you can opt out of. It's a privilege at school. And our school board has decided that we are going to put everyone who gets one of these privileges into the pool to be chosen for random drug testing. Now, once they're chosen, they'll be pulled out of class. They'll be sent with the third-party laboratory that comes to do our testing, and they will follow the protocol, and then they'll be tested for all the drugs on the panel. We'll communicate with the parent, say, hey, this has happened. This is the result of their test. From there on, it's between you and the lab. We don't get those results. It's not something that Camden Schools gets all of the information on, because, of course, we don't want to be in a position where we have to store that and keep it safe and all that. So definitely look at our handbook or look through board policy if you want to look at that. If you just want a quick explanation, call me and I can explain to you how that works. Everyone who is involved in activities or athletics must be a part of that random drug testing pool. And for several years now, we've been doing that testing and it's gone well. I mentioned the student athlete handbook, physicals, the other forms. I'll go over how to go to our website here in a moment and show you where all those things can be found. And as the year goes on, where you can find some answers to other questions. You should know that that our teachers and coaches have always helped students who are struggling in class. This year, it's even a little bit easier for coaches to claim time they put in helping students who are struggling academically as part of extra duties that they do, called Career Ladder. And so many teachers are getting those Career Ladder hours by helping students. But just like in the past, we will have a group of students who are failing courses, who are in danger of becoming ineligible. And a lot of times coaches may not be coaches of the sport your athlete is involved in, but coaches get together, they get assigned students, and then they'll contact those students and ask about missing assignments and why haven't they been doing them, and do they realize that they're not going to be eligible the next semester, that sort of thing. So it's important that teachers are doing that and why those people are contacting your students. Your students should be aware by now, and 7th grade students who are coming in, new students who are transferring in from other states, it's important that you know that you must have passed 3 credits. 80% of the credits available, which in the Camdenton is 3 credits the previous semester to be eligible for MSHSAA activities and athletics. You must also be enrolled currently in 3 credits. Beginning this year, we have 2 different ways we can do that. The traditional option, which means you're enrolled in our school, and the non-traditional option. This year, for the first time at Camdenton, you can be enrolled in 1 full credit, 2 semester classes at a time, 1 full credit on campus, and then submit for review 2 credits worth of courses that you take elsewhere. Now, if you're a part of Camdenton High School, you're taking AP classes, you're taking college courses, you're in GoCaps, any of those things, Camdenton already transcripts. Those are not courses that you need to tell us about. We already are aware of them. We put them on your transcript. Those count as traditional credits and no problem. But if you take courses anywhere else that are not something that's been set up by Camdenton or approved by Camdenton, then when you enroll and you say you want to participate in athletics, we will have a form for you to fill out that tells us what those courses are, if they're a part of an accreditation process somewhere else, and if not, then we look at them and we'll get back with you and approve or let you know what we need in order to approve those. Next, parents, when we have away events, Camdenton is such a wide flung district that students can come back on a bus from Jeff City or Springfield, and they can pass the outer limits of our school district, 20 minutes later, get to school. And so your student could then get to school, get off the bus, and go 20 minutes back toward home. And so we're sometimes adding 40 minutes to their time on the way home from a game. And so long ago, the decision was made that we would not require students to ride back with the team from events, and we would let parents check them out. It needs to be clear that you understand you as the parent should sign your student out. The coach will circulate a checkout list after the game. If there's a freshman JV varsity game, sometimes freshmen can leave after the JV game. JV can leave after half of the varsity game. Sometimes you need to stay for all 3 games. So everyone's supporting everyone. Make sure you get that information from your coach. But then you'll need to sign your child out. You sign your child out saying that the school is no longer in care or control of your child, that you have assumed responsibility for them. Because of that, we do not let you sign other people's children out. We never allow children to sign out with other high school students or other students. They have to go with their guardian. A caveat to that is you as the parent can write a letter saying, or write a note saying, my student I would like my student to ride home with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, John's mom, whatever parent on the team you'd like them to ride home with, and with the date and sign it. Your athlete will take that note to the main office and I will sign it, or one of the principals will sign it saying, yes, we've looked at this. It looks good. We've taken a copy of it and given a copy to the coach. And at that time, the coach can check your child out with another athlete's parents. Again, we will not accept a note. We will not approve a note that says you would like your child to ride home with their boyfriend or their girlfriend or their big sister or some neighbor. It needs to be one of the parents that is on the team, someone that we're aware of, somebody that we can take, we're willing to take responsibility for. So sign outs after events should be made clear. It's something to check with your coach on if you don't know their procedure. Each coach should have a way to communicate with them. You can always call the school. It's very difficult to get a teacher during the day. You call when you want to talk to them, and they should be teaching courses most of the time. So it's difficult just to call in the middle of the day and have the phone rung in their classroom and be able to talk to them. They're in the middle of doing their job. So, and we do follow the 24-hour rule, which means that at a game, at an event, at a contest, you find something you don't like, you want to talk to the coach about, wait a day. Wait 24 hours, let the coach get out of game mode, let your athlete get out of game mode, and let yourself get out of game mode and be able to talk rationally about whatever it is that you're upset about. The truth is, school sports are really not here for the parents. The school sports are here for the athletes. So if there's something going on with your athlete on the court or on the fields, absolutely, it should be the athlete that talks to the coach. This is the relationship that's supposed to exist already, setting goals and determining what it is the athlete wants to do on the field and in the future and how to get there, how to goal set to reach those goals. And so it should be the athlete talking to the coach first. And if you have a conversation with your athlete and they're just not satisfied, they didn't get the answer, they don't understand, you think your athlete has approached the coach properly, has asked properly, has pushed enough, then you absolutely can contact the coach and say, hey, we're concerned about X, Y, or Z. And if that doesn't give you satisfaction, you can always contact me at the high school and Mr. Knight at the middle school. Those are acceptable ways to communicate, and we'll always be able to respond to you and tell you what's going on. One exception to that is playing time. I never really can give you any satisfaction about playing time. I've never found a way to tell a parent, nah, well, you're wrong. You think your student should be getting more playing time. And no, they're just not as good as Billy Bob over there. There's really not a way to communicate that with a parent that's good, that's helpful, that the parent would find meaningful. More importantly, I have to rely on the coaches to determine playing time. That's why we hired coaches. That's why they're there. That's why they're there at every practice. That's why they're there to watch the games and make decisions during the games. We pay them to do that. Really not too interested in what a parent thinks about their own child. It's very simple for me to watch myself with my kids and realize how unobjective I am when it comes to my kids. And that's true for everybody. And of course, as problems come up, bring them, absolutely talk about them. I really appreciate calls, even when they're 100%, hey, I want my kid to play more. Yeah, well, we talked about, I can't really help you with that. This is something that, and we go through that whole spiel. That is wonderful compared to somebody bringing me a printout from Facebook and say, oh, look, Jane's mom thinks something different should be done. Well, whatever's said on Facebook is Facebook. I hope no adult out there thinks that that's a way to communicate with somebody at the school. If you want to communicate with me, you should call me. You should email me. You should talk to me, not post something out there for the world to see and hope that I see it and then take it seriously as an adult. As part of that communication, your student should have access to some type of social media, some type of group communication. We discourage group texts just because it's an easy way for athletes and coaches then to communicate with nobody else in the loop. And we want to protect our coaches and protect our students from any kind of communication that is unwarranted, is something that could become inappropriate. So most coaches have Remind accounts or the new Band app, or they use Twitter or Instagram. And then many students themselves have group texts among the girls tennis team, among the football defensive backs, or the whole boys soccer team, or whatever. Many of the students have those group texts, or they communicate in Instagram groups or whatever it is, Snapchat and whatever. But you should, as a parent, you should be able to gain access to a Remind account or some kind of communication app that the coach uses to keep you informed. So make sure you get that information from your coach. And if there isn't one, of course, I would like to know. I will enter the season thinking every coach is going to do that. If you are a transfer student, if your student didn't go to school here last year, didn't go to school in Camdenton, I need to talk to them as soon as possible. I need to get their information and put in a transfer so that the state association can approve that and say, yes, they did move into your school. There's nothing inappropriate about the move. You didn't recruit them to come play basketball, things like that. And then they'll be approved. Otherwise, they won't be eligible. If they play without being eligible, then we'll forfeit those games, and your athlete might lose their eligibility depending on the situation. So we need to make sure we get those transfers in, make sure I know about them so that I can get them in and get them approved. All right, so the next little piece is about the booster club. We have a great booster club that helps our athletic teams. They buy things that we don't necessarily have the money for, or that we just won't buy. Food is one big example. For the last several years, it's been decided that we won't spend tax dollars buying meals for athletes when we don't buy meals for non-athletes. So the Booster Club has raised money and tried to provide funds so that we could buy team meals. And when that funding is there, they do that. They buy some extra tools for the team, some great training equipment that perhaps is not something that we would spend tax dollars on, or something that's only going to be used for one season per year, and we think it's not a good use of tax dollars. Whatever the reason may be, the Booster Club has done a great job of providing some of that stuff for us. So there will be a booster liaison. There'll be some mom on the team, some parent, some volunteer from each team who we will call the booster liaison, that will talk to the Booster Club and then be able to communicate with the rest of the parents on the team to let them know how we handle team meals, or cooking team meals, or buying team meals, or how do you pay for them, or t-shirt sales, designing t-shirts, selling t-shirts, hospitality rooms, anything that the team might be doing and that the Booster Club then would be willing to help with. They'll be the ones that can communicate that with the Booster Club and work out fundraising and then get the funds to the team for use. So make sure that you know who your Booster Club mom is. And I always say booster mom, I say team meal mom, because women normally are the ones that do all the work. That's not a stereotype. That's just what I've noticed. It's a truth that I've noticed. So many times there are dads involved in those, but I keep calling them booster moms just because that's the way things usually work out. So last thing before I go, we start looking at some of these websites. Make sure you know how to get there. Eligibility. Students know about high school eligibility. You gotta be passing classes. You gotta be enrolled classes now, and you had to have passed courses the semester before. Any parent that's interested in the NCAA, any parent that's interested who thinks their child is interested in playing sports after high school, if they want to be in the band at college, if they want to play ball, should go to the NCAA Eligibility Center. The old NCAA clearinghouse is now called the NCAA Eligibility Center. NCAA.org is the same old website, but you absolutely should go there and make sure you understand your eligibility. This past year, we had a horrible situation where nobody at the school noticed that one of our students who wanted to play post high school did not have the right courses. And it was a terrible situation for that student. It was a horrible thing that we don't want to happen to any student. At the school, we've we've done things like this video, we put it in our handbook and say, hey, read it, make sure you understand it. We, of course, don't have the manpower to go to all 600 of our students that are wanting to play sports and ask them, hey, you might play after high school. And we don't judge, hey, this kid's probably more likely to play than that kid, so let's just talk to these 50. We don't have the manpower to meet with everyone and say, hey, pay attention right here in this handbook, in this team meeting, in this course meeting, all these times we told you to read this, we really need you to read it. And so I'm telling you now, I'm trying to make a big point of it now. I'm trying to talk for an extra 30 seconds just so that everybody that watches this knows, check your NCAA eligibility. Make sure that you as a student are enrolled in college prep classes. If you get your college prep certificate from Camden High School, then you've taken more than enough courses of the right type of courses to be eligible for any NCAA division athletics you might play. If you don't get that college prep certificate, then we need to check. You need 16 of those core class credits. You need, easy would be 4 English, 4 science, 4 social studies, 4 math. But most people don't do that. Most people will take only 3 math and 3 science. But if you get a foreign language, if you take a religious studies class, there's several that could qualify. So if you're not getting the college prep certificate, but you think you want to play ball after high school, then absolutely read that, check up on it, come in and ask, come to my office and I'll point it out to you. I'll look at your transcript and be clear. The best thing is to sign up at the NCAA.org eligibility center, get your name in there, enter your coursework, and it'll tell you, hey, you need 2 more math, you need another science, this class doesn't count, those kind of things. So if that's your situation, be sure to sign up for that or come in and ask and get a clarification, and we'll try to make sure that that's something that's made clear to you. I'm going to share my screen now, and hopefully my face is off of your computers, your screens, and you'll be able to see my window now. And we're going to start by looking at the website. This is the school website. If you just go to Camden School District, this is where it'll pop up, Camden School District, and usually gives you a little memo like that, and click out of that, and you'll be able to see that. If you don't click twice, you'll be able to see that the athletic tab is down here in the right-hand corner. Open up athletics. And a lot of things I've talked about, you can see right here. Annual sports permission forms. This is, there's a link here where you can get the physical form that your doctor will need, and you can get the permission slip forms that we need. We need those permission slips every year. The physical is good for 2 years. The athletic handbook, there's a link I promised. A link to the MSHSAA site. We'll check that out in just a second to see what you could get there. Information on Lakers sports passes. This is individual passes or family passes if you want to buy one-time admission to all the games for the year. And sports guides that Miss Dickman does are linked right there also. You'll see here's a couple documents that we put out for the last few years that talk about the first day of practice. We found this very important for middle school students, especially to let them know, hey, practice is starting before the end of the school year. So there's the high school, all the teams, when they start practice, and then how do you join the social media account that coach has set up. There's middle school and high school, and you can see some stuff from last year, COVID related things. There's our fall sports meeting from a year ago. Good looking javelin thrower right there. And that is our Camden High School site. Here you'll find the R School site. Let me go back here. If you are interested in schedules, this is what we get the most questions about. Right here in big old letters in purple, click here to view high school and middle school sports schedules. If you click that, it'll open up this Camden Laker R School site. This is the name of the program, the letter R School. And we've decided to use that because of the information it provides. You'll see here is I'm shooting this video this time on August 6th. And here's all the events for August 6th. I can scroll down and see the next week's worth of days. I can tell it to show me a month at a time. I can tell it I just want to see one day. I can go through here and pick whatever days. But what's important here is you can see what's going on. These are links to those documents I just showed you, the first day of practice documents. I just put those on there for anybody that went looking for schedules and didn't know when the first day of practice was. There's just another way to see it. What's great about this is, yeah, we put the schedules up here. You can go on here, click the view schedules, and you can pick one or very many of these sports that you want to see the schedules for. You can pick all the football, you can pick just 7th grade, and you can view those schedules, and it'll give you the schedule for the year. On the schedule, it'll show you when, it'll show you where. This, for example, is a cross-country meet at Bolivar High School. If you click on Bolivar High School, it'll even open up and give you the address and open up the Google Maps option there that you can hit Google Maps, ask for directions, and it'll take you to the event if you're someone who likes to use your navigation that way. So that's why we use our school. One of the neater aspects of this is just right here at the bottom, and it is Notify Me. If you'll sign up and give yourself an account and join as a Notify Me participant, put your email address in there, they'll make you a password, you'll create your own account. If you'll do that, then anytime we make a change to a schedule, the schedule you sign up for, and it'll email you or text you and tell you that we've made a change. So you can sign up to be a Notify Me person on girls tennis. And every time we make a change to the tennis schedule, you'll get notified. If we change the start time, if the location's changed, if we have COVID suspensions and we have to stop the game completely, you will get all that information. It'll just send it to you. If no changes are made, then it doesn't send any information to you. So I encourage you to jump on that Notify Me and get signed up for whatever sports you're interested in. This year, we've added band practices. We've added JROTC practices. And when we get the events, we'll put them in. We're trying to use everything we can at the school, put on this Our School calendar so that you can see what's going on and you can always be updated if something changes. If we get better at this, if we get enough help, we will be able to add pictures and highlight videos and that sort of thing on this as well. The MSHSAA website. Here's another example of someplace you can go to get a lot of information. If you just go to MSHSAA.org, it'll take you to their homepage. Looks like this. At some point, we may be required, like last year, to use digital tickets. We may try to do some digital ticketing this year for those that enjoy it. And if you use that at all last year, if you need to use it in the future, click on this big blue ticket here that says tickets. And that's how you can then say, Camdenton, I want to watch soccer, boys soccer. I want to watch this game. And it'll let you purchase tickets online. The tickets will be up on your phone. You show us that QR code, that picture on your phone. We log in and all is golden. Other things that are nice about this site, you can click on schools and go to Camdenton and you'll be able to see our schedules. It means that we have to maintain more than one schedule. We put it on Our School and we also put it in MSHSAA, but depending on your situation, you might like this better than something else. This isn't quite as user-friendly, I've found, than the Our School site. So we haven't abandoned the Our School site yet, but you can see it has the next several events, August 20th, 23rd, 27th, 28th. There are several things that go on the MSHSAA site. So a lot of times this will be something that we update an hour or two after we've updated Our School. We sometimes have to cancel contracts. If we've changed a game time, it just won't let us change the time. We have to cancel a contract, and then we have to renew the contract with the other school. And then we have to call the other school and say, hey, we changed your time like you wanted, but now would you accept that contract? And so sometimes it gets kind of annoying to deal with. And that's why I suggest use that Our School site until all of ADs across the state get better at using this MSHSAA site, and it can work a little bit cleaner. Another spot to look at on the MSHSAA website is the sports medicine page. Back from the home page, if you look here at sports medicine, there's several things you can look, information that you might find interesting, that you might make you feel better about your student participating, things about what the coaches have to do, the concussion test the coaches have to take, all the different requirements on coaches might make you feel better about participating, letting your students participate. Big thing I want to show you is right here. These forms are the physical form we mentioned earlier and the yearly requirements also mentioned earlier. There's another spot you can go and grab those and use for your athlete. So you should be able to get to all of that from the Camdenton High School webpage. Any of that information from the MSHSAA site or anywhere else you can get from our webpage. They will probably link these videos. I've put them up through YouTube in the past because it was free. Taxpayers will be happy. And I think I'm trying to do that again this year. So you should be able to find all that linked to our webpage, and all that should be easily done if you have questions. Of course, always you can call the high school office for high school questions, call the middle school office, talk to Mr. Knight for middle school questions. Last thing, I'll just throw out 6 changes that you'll see either happening this year or coming soon. MSHSAA now allows 6th grade students to participate. Camdenton does not have that set up. We will not be having 6th grade teams. We could go ahead and start them and then play no one, because there are no 6th grade teams around us ready to play. But that's something that is allowed for many middle schools are, excuse me, many middle schools are 6th and 7th grade, or they're 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And it's inconvenient. It's not the perfect setup for them to have 7th and 8th grade sports, but not 6th. So that's why the rule change was made. It would be kind of the opposite for us, with students in a 5th, 6th grade building, to have half of those people participating. And of course, as anyone that's had their students go through middle school knows, we fill up every gym in the district here with 7th and 8th grade basketball during the winter, and throw wrestling and cheer and dance in different places on top of that. So we'd have to think and find a way to use our outlying schools or go back to having early and late practices to make that work. So that's something that we're trying to put together for the future, understand what it is we want in this area, and then do it. There's an alternate path for assistant coaches that MSHSAA approved this year. There's a stricter rule on students joining late. You have to join your team early in the season. You can't wait a few weeks and then decide you want to play. That's been removed. So we've got to participate in a team right from the beginning if we want to participate. That means someone that's injured would be a part of the team right at the beginning. They wouldn't be able to practice. They wouldn't be legal yet, but they'd be a part of that team. And then as their medical situation is cleared and the doctor says it's okay to go, then they could become a part of that team, try out and see if they meet that level. Out of season practices is going to be a new thing, something big this year. That means that basketball team could meet up to 3 hours a week for a 6-week period during the fall. That means all spring sports could meet with their athletes during the winter sports season, could have practices. They could meet up to 3 hours a week for a 6-week period there in the middle of winter sports season. And all fall sports can have 3 hours a week, 6 weeks in a row during the spring sports season. So the season immediately prior to the season we're talking about, the teams can have practices. That's something that I certainly want to stay on top of. I want to make sure that I'm continuing to encourage our students, our student athletes, to be 3-sport athletes if they can, if they have the interest. Want it to be easy for them to do that. Those are optional practices when it's not your sports season. We want to be sure that students who want to branch out and do everything can do everything. But that is a new bylaw, a new adjustment to a past bylaw that will allow that to happen starting this school year. Contest limitations have changed this year. There's no such thing now as tournament games and regular season games. It's all just games, contests, just contests. So those numbers have changed a little bit. That means we were able to add a contest here or there, or maybe we had to subtract one here or there, depending on our tournaments. That means we're going to have to guess that we're going to play 3 tournament games. If we end up only playing 2, then we could add a game later in the year. If we end up playing 4, then we'd have to take a game out. So depending on the situation, we've adjusted schedules to try to take advantage of that as much as possible. And then for volleyball fans, their bylaw was cleared up to allow volleyball limits to be a little more clear now that we're playing 5 sets for varsity. The limit on the number of sets an athlete can play has been cleared up. So those are some new bylaws that you'll hear about, a little bit different than what's happened in the past. And all that stuff can be found on the MSHSAA website if you want more information, specific information on that. In closing, I'll remind you to call the high school office if you have any questions. You can talk with Nikki, you can talk with myself, and we will answer the questions we can. Certainly come in if you have questions you want to talk to with us in person. And the same thing goes for the middle school office. If you have questions, give them a call. Count on your 7th grader to learn by the end of their first middle school sports season to get information from the coach and bring it home to you. We certainly don't want to teach them to ignore it, because mom will call and get it. We want them to be weaned off of that as quickly as possible and learn to take care of themselves, learn how to get that information, take it home, and then be able to communicate back and forth with folks. So that being said, I hope everyone has a good fall season. And if any difficulties do arise, by all means, get us in the loop. so we can help as we're able. Thank you.